We are getting our whole dahlia patch planted today, and we're going to give you our favorite tips on how to take your tuber, this one little tuber, and turn it into the most glorious bucket filling plant full of dahlia blooms. Now, this is one dahlia tuber. Sometimes you'll get them and they might be connected like this. Sometimes they'll be even skinnier like this. Dahlia tubers all look different because just like the flowers are different, the tuber itself is different as well. So here's the cool thing though, is that this tuber has everything that it needs in order to send up the plant. So you don't need to worry so much about like this, it looks dried up or shriveled. If you put this in the right environment, you will allow it to begin to grow. They don't all have an eye that's already growing like this. Don't worry if yours doesn't have that. This one is just ready. It's just ready to get into the ground. The best time to plant your tubers is once your soil is gonna be around 60-ish degrees. So we live near Seattle in the Pacific Northwest. We're in the 3rd week of May right now, and this is the El Primo time in our area to plant these. So if you're in a colder area, you might need to wait a little bit until your soil is warm. If your soil is not warm, it won't activate your dahlia tuber. The dahlia tuber will think it's still winter time. So if it's still cold where you're at, wait until your soil warms up a little bit. If you are in a much warmer area, get them into the ground. They'll start growing. You're gonna get flowers in about 8 weeks. Would you say 8 weeks, babe? From now?
Yeah, I think so, just about.
Mid to the end of May. The first flowers will probably be mid to end of July. So in about 8 weeks, we're gonna have flowers. So our dahlia tuber, let's get it into the ground. What you want to do is you want to make sure that there's no weed pressure. So like we've gone through and we've cleaned up our whole bed so that there's not going to be any weeds competing for space. And all of your tubers are going to be different sizes, but you essentially want to have about 4 inches of soil over the tuber. So if your tuber is really big, dig your hole a little bit deeper. If you have any growth like this on your tuber, that's really awesome. It means it's already got a kickstart. All of this growth is going to go under the soil because it's not ready yet to be above the soil. This is very fragile, but don't worry. If it breaks off, your dahlia will send up another shoot. Now, I don't want it to break off because we have like a kickstart to this dahlia plant growing, but if yours happens to break off, don't worry, it will be okay. So what I do first is I dig my hole, and we want it to be nice and loamy soil. Dahlias don't like being really soggy. They will rot. That's one of the reasons why people dig them up, and we can do lots and lots of videos about digging up dahlias and why you dig them and why some people don't. But today we're just gonna focus on getting it planted and being happy and healthy. So what I'm doing is making sure that my hole is nice and loosened up, ready for my dahlia. Then this is bone meal. Bone meal is one of the best things for tubers. They absolutely love it. I do about a tablespoon, sprinkle it into the hole, mix it up a little bit so that the tuber is not just sitting on straight bone meal. And then I'm gonna put my tuber in here. With the part that's already growing, it's coming up towards the light. Don't worry. If you have a tuber and you can't tell which way anything is going to grow out of it, the tuber is so smart. It will send its shoot up towards the light. So just make sure that you're laying your tuber in the hole like you would put a hot dog in a hot dog bun. You don't want to put it straight up like this. The tuber wants to lay flat like you're putting it into a hot dog bun. Okay, so we're gonna put it in there, and then I'm just very gently going to put that soil around the shoot that's already in there, and then we're going to bury it down. Now our tuber is tucked into the soil. I don't want anyone to be stepping on this area once it's planted because the shoot will begin to come up, and I don't want somebody to step on it. And unless you are just some wizard in the garden, I can never remember the exact location that I put the tuber, so we always put either a label there or something to mark where it's at. Because we grow a whole long row of dahlias, we're actually going to add staking in another week or so that it's going to give them support. We'll make sure to do a video on that so we can show you. But if you are just going to be growing a few dahlia tubers, put a tomato cage right here over your dahlia tuber, and then it will help you remember, number one, where you planted it, and number two, you'll already have support there for your dahlia. There are a couple tricks to getting your dahlia to grow really lush and bushy, and we will show you those as soon as ours are growing. You're gonna pinch it. I'll show you exactly how to do that. But here's the cool thing. Dahlia tubers don't need any water right now. It's tucked into the soil. We want it to stay fairly dry, so we're not going to intentionally give it water. If it rains, that's fine, it's gonna be okay, but don't water your dahlia tuber until it has about 3 leaf sets, or it's like 6 to 12 inches tall. We'll show you when we start watering ours so that you'll know when to take care of yours and give it some water, but for now, it's all tucked into the ground. It has a little bone meal to help it out, and it's ready to start growing.